Hello. This week, the big news new Portland startup launch has a couple of unique things about it that I would love to tell you more about. But before we get to that, I just wanted to touch on this week. We had our second quarterly Portland startup community gathering. We had about 600 RSVPs, not 600 people showing up, but still a really good crowd, filled the space. Plenty of people making connections, meeting new people. Folks who had never met anyone in the Portland startup community showed up, made a lot of good contacts. Folks traveled up from Bend, down from Seattle, all over. All in all, people were really happy with the event. We received some really positive feedback, and that continues to kind of bubble up on LinkedIn and other socials about the fun time that people had there. Our friends at Ned Space did not only an after party, but they did like a big pre-funk party as well. So it was just amazing the way the community always steps up and supports this effort, embraces it, and really works to help bring the community together. I'm always proud to be part of it and always happy to see people making those connections. So the next big one will happen July 8th. We've already selected the spot. It's going to be held at the Red in Southeast Portland. And the big concept, the theme, is it's going to be a cookout. Because if you've ever been to the Red, there's the gigantic Red building. And then there's also the parking lot, which we're going to try and utilize. So we're still scheming and working on it, but rest assured, it'll be happening July 8th. We put up a save the date thing on the meetup group. So if you're interested in attending, please RSVP. Hopefully we won't have to put a cap on the number of RSVPs we get. And then, there are also a couple other events coming up that I'll talk about a little bit later. But let's first get to the big news. Why is this such big news? Well, a couple things. The company's called Dayo. They are an app on mobile, and they are really designed to reward you for using social media less. And they've kind of got this campaign of like people you may recognize who may make millions, if not billions of dollars from your time online. And they're kind of set up. Dayo is set up as the counterpoint to that they want to convince you to only use social a half an hour or less a day. And if you do that, if you accomplish that, you receive $5 in credits that can go toward purchases, benefits, prizes. I believe the very first reward that was redeemed was a Rumple blanket from right here in Portland, Rumple, another Portland startup company. So that was super exciting. But here are the things that I find most interesting about Dayo. First, it's really rare for us to see consumer-facing apps come out of Portland, especially social consumer-facing apps coming out of Portland, or antisocial. It's not really antisocial, but it is antisocial. So that's super interesting. It's a couple of serial founders. Corey has done a few things. Patrick has done a few things, and they've combined their startup powers to run Dayo, which is amazing. That's awesome. So consumer, serial founders. But the one thing I do find to be the most unique twist, and if you're listening to this early on Friday morning, there's still a chance for you to take advantage of this. Dayo's throwing a good old-fashioned launch party Friday evening. That's right. So you can go to the launch party. If you filled out your Dayo profile, I think you get a free beverage or two. They're doing a dance party. Could get crazy. It's basically come one, come all. Show up at the space, hang out, meet some other people who are looking to decrease their time on social, and maybe even meet Corey and Patrick while you're there, the makers of the app. So I'm really excited about Dayo. They got some good coverage in GeekWire. They had a great day on Product Hunt. I think they were trending at number 6 on Product Hunt. I think they made it into the Product Hunt newsletter. We'll see how well they do at the end of the week, but I will also link that up if you got a spare upvote laying around for Dayo that you might kick in on Friday to see where they land on the week on the Product Hunt list. Just super exciting to see something like this going. Lots of energy, a really good mission, and a really good ethos. And I'm just looking forward to following along on this journey. So Dayo.co is where you can go to grab the app. And if it's still Friday, please take the opportunity to go to their launch party. Okay, that app launched. What if you're still working on your thing? And what if the thing you're working on happens to be a drone? Well, you are in the best state possible to be doing that kind of work. But you don't even have to be in Oregon. Our friends at the OregonUASAccelerator, the drone thing out in Pendleton, are seeking their next cohort of startups. Applications are due April 25th. If you apply and get in, you get a lot of benefits, mentorship. You get to go out to the flight facility and fly your drone or test your software or do other droney things out there with them. You get an amazing demo day that occurs right in line with the Pendleton Roundup, which is a world famous rodeo. So there's so many interesting aspects to the OregonUASAccelerator. It almost makes me want to start a drone company. Now, my drone is a little bit different than their drones. Their drones are the unpeopled aerial systems. My drone is the fact that I have a monotone, nasally voice, and I don't think that would get accepted to the accelerator. What you're working on may. So please, if you're working on a drone solution, whether you're in Oregon, whether you're in another state in the United States, whether you're somewhere else on the globe, please take the opportunity to apply for the OregonUASAccelerator and their summer cohort. Applications are due April 25th, 2025. Okay, I told you we had a couple other events to talk about. You may remember, talked about this a while ago, Mitch Doherty, who I co-founded Built Oregon with, and he ran as the director for 10 years. He got hired away by the city of Portland. He works for Prosper now. He heads up the Portland Office of Small Business, and he is all about how do we help small businesses in Portland. So he came up with this concept where he's like, look, why don't we do, I call it a flash mob. It's just everybody show up at this one spot and patronize the businesses around that spot. And he was thinking through the idea, and he's finally like, let's just do this. So the place Mitch has selected for the first, what I call flash mob, what I believe he says is show up for small business event, will be happening on Ankeny Alley. So April 29th, you don't have to RSVP, but you can RSVP on Eventbrite or Meetup, just so we have an idea of how many people might want to show up. And Better Portland and Pi and a few other folks are helping with this as well, just to get people to show up. Crash Ankeny Alley. And if you're not familiar with Ankeny Alley, it's right by Voodoo Donut. It's that alley that runs down to Saturday Market, runs right by the New Market Theater, runs by Dan and Louie, which is where the oysters and things are and where things will kind of kick off. But the whole idea is, hey, on April 29th at 5 o'clock, why don't we all just show up in Ankeny Alley? And there are a bunch of restaurants and bars and other things around there that we can be customers. We can support small business, because while building your startup and chasing your dream is always a great thing, we wouldn't be able to do it without all that caffeine from the local coffee shops, all that amazing food from the food carts and restaurants in town, the hydration from the cafes and bars and other small businesses in town that are really the foundational support for our startup community, and in very many ways are entrepreneurs themselves. They're taking a chance on their dream, trying to build something meaningful here in Portland, and it only makes sense that the startup community comes out and shows them a little love. Now, if you can't make the Ankeny Alley meetup on April 29th, there will be more, and they will be scattered around town, but the premise will remain the same. The ethos will remain the same. What we are trying to do is show support for small businesses in our community, especially right now, those downtown that may be suffering more than most. But we will look to do this time and time again. We will be proud to collaborate with the Office of Small Business to make this happen. And I always make sure you have a heads up so that you can show up and come hang out with us. I look forward to seeing you at Ankeny Alley. All right, back to kind of geeky startup-y stuff. I may have mentioned this a few weeks ago. I can't remember how long ago, but there are all kinds of AI meetups. I love AI Portland. I'm such a fan of the AI Portland meetup and all the events they do. They do coffee meetups, they do evening meetups, they do talks, they do panels, they do all kinds of amazing things. They support the big Portland startup community gathering stuff consistently. Like, I love AI Portland. It's just great. And then there's like AI tinkerers. They're more like hands-on. What are you doing with AI? Maybe you demo some stuff. Maybe you show us some things. There's Oregon Venture Fund. They do a regular Portland AI demo night. So it's not a competition. It's just show up and demo your product, no matter what kind of stage it's in. That's hosted by our friends at Oregon Venture Fund. So this is a new meetup, still AI related, and the inaugural meetup is occurring April 30th. This one is Portland AI engineers. So really getting hands-on, using AI and technology to build solutions, to test concepts, to go deeper and more technical in the world of AI. So if you've been attending AI meetups and you're like, I wish this would go a little deeper, or I wish that there were more technical content, or I wish there were more developer related discussions, AI engineers maybe for you. So I think they're calling it Ping, Portland AI Engineers. So if that's your area of interest and you feel like something's been missing from your AI meetup world, I'm willing to bet that Portland AI Engineers will be exactly the thing you're looking for. I'll link up their meetup group. So even if you can't attend their first event on April 30th, you'll be able to get news about what's happening with them throughout the months and years to come, because I don't think AI is going away anytime soon. And I'm really excited to see where Portland AI Engineers goes. I encourage you to attend their inaugural event. It's not exactly an inaugural event, but it is definitely a reboot of a really meaningful event from the before times, before the pandemic. So this is ancient history by now, but I helped start Portland Startup Week in the before times, way back when. And I was motivated to do that because it was started by a good friend, Andrew Hyde, who apparently is such a good friend, my voice cracks, but a good friend, Andrew Hyde. He was the guy who created Startup Weekend originally, and that sprinkled all over the world. And then he was like, well, why couldn't we just do a whole Startup Week? And so that started happening all over the world. And I was lucky enough to be kind of charged with building Portland Startup Week. And I did that for a number of years. And then it seemed time to hand it off to new people, to come up with better ideas than I had, and to come up with new kinds of programming and more creative and innovative ways of engaging with the community. So I handed it off to Josh Carter, and wouldn't you know it, there was the pandemic thing. So Portland Startup Week, this is really getting its first official reboot since we all had to shelter in place for the pandemic. So Portland Startup Week 2025, there's already a week full of events happening, but there's always more room on the calendar. And Josh has said he doesn't care if there are competing events. So even where there are things already scheduled on the calendar, you could schedule something right alongside it. So if you have interesting ideas, if there's some event that you wanted to test drive, or like maybe a concept you had that you want to see if it'll work, or maybe you just have another event that you've been running for years and years and years, but you're willing to run it during Portland Startup Week to kind of get that network effect of all the promotion that goes on during Portland Startup Week. Don't believe me? I'm even working on programming stuff for Portland Startup Week. On May 13th, we're doing an Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage celebration, kind of like we did for Black History Month and Women's History Month. We will have a bunch of Asian American, and Pacific Islander founders and community leaders sit down with us for fireside chats at Instrument on May 13th. If you're interested in getting all the details, just sign up for the meetup group, the same meetup group for the big Portland Startup Gathering, and you will get the information that you need as that comes together. I'm really looking forward to it. If you attended the Women's History event and saw Julia Nero talk. Julia is going to serve as our host and interviewer this time around. We've made some tweaks to the format based on your feedback. We will also, as we have in the past, live stream the event, but it would be great to have you there in person. But if you can't make it, or you have family commitments, or you're traveling, or whatever, we'll get the live stream up and going so you can join us virtually. I encourage you to submit your events, get it on the calendar, and get Portland Startup Week as cram-packed full of interesting startup opportunities as we can for a week. And really, let's showcase all the momentum and all the energy that's occurring in Portland right now through Portland Startup Week 2025. Okay, that's it. Kind of short and sweet this week, but go to the events. Go to all the events. So many events that I covered. If you're building a drone thing, please get your drone application in. And if you have some event ideas, please submit them for Portland Startup Week. That's all I've got. Hope you're hanging in there. Hope you're doing okay. And until we get the chance to chat again, please keep up the good work.